Master Imperial Citadel, Wildspace, Wizard Arcanist build. Shout out to Rinarix from, I believe they're called Dirty Wolves these days, and Bench Monster from Dreadnoks for helping me figure out a few of the trickier bits of this. I've been messing around with this build for a couple of weeks now, and it's finally at a point where I'm quite happy about it. It's not getting the daily back twice within one artifact core most of the time, but sometimes it will. There's a lot of luck, a little bit of randomness involved in the Arcanist. And due to a lot of dodging mechanics in Master Imperial Citadel, it's very difficult to stand still long enough to get everything procking nicely. On the other hand, it is slapping quite hard, so feel free to take a look and get some ideas. Primary at will is going to be Ray of Frost. There's a few different mechanics which make it very much the preferable one. I think it's the fastest damaging at will as well. Sometimes I'll throw in the Storm at will, just because it gives occasionally gives a nice little boost to your AP gain. Especially if you max out the bar and you get to throw that pillar of lightning in between a bunch of mobs that are on the boss. I've got Pack Tactics equipped here as the mount equip, just to display what the stats would look like. Obviously, usually a support will be running Pack Tactics, so it's an extra little bit of combat advantage. Power will cap out once the other raptors are in there. Accuracy does hit 86% when the companion bonus is proccing. Combat advantage will get very close to 90 once the tutor is in there, but that's about as high as the crit strike's going to go. So here's what I would usually be running. Put quick action in there. And that just gives a nice little AP boost when we do fire off our daily. Ability points wise, we've gone for intelligence and charisma. Obviously intelligence is the primary damage multiplying stat for magic casters. Charisma gives forte and recharge speed. Wizard's forte is combat advantage, so it is pretty useful. It is an argument you could make for switching to Dex for the additional crit severity, but we don't actually need it here for this build. And we do get a small little bit of recharge speed with the charisma, so that's nice. We're running a lot of older gear equipment wise. This helm is still one of the best DPS, or in fact healer helms in the game. Probably not so much for healers now with the new regeneration gear, but nice reliable source of crit strike. And this drops from Master Demon Web Pits. Neck piece is the Scintillate Amulet. It's masterwork and it is incredibly expensive last time I checked. You can achieve a similar result with the Shroomwood Amulet. That 6 intelligence does not affect your damage enough to make this particular piece required. So if you want to do it on a bit more of a budget, you can switch to the Shroomwood Amulet. This ring is from MGR. I know it's going to be difficult for a lot of people to obtain. There are other options, like this one, Illustrates Beauty. This drops from Master Temple of the Spider, but if you use this you'll just have to swap the ratings around a bit. This chest piece is another Demon Web Pits drops from the last boss. It gives 18% crit severity, and is the only reason this build is possible with all the damage plus things slotted. Very much an essential piece for an Arcanist. These AP arms are quite useful, just to tick your AP up a bit more. They're not essential though, so you could switch to the crit strike gloves. Potentially even the old damage gloves. And even maybe the old Mastercraft gloves for a bit of crit 7, switch everything around. This ring has got nearly 12% accuracy on it, 4.5% action point gain. It's definitely worth having if you can fit it in there. It's another drop from the Demon Web Pits. And the Scintillate Sash, this is a lot cheaper than the necklace. You may not know, but any combination of these Mastercraft neck and waist will actually trigger the bonus, and it's the bonus that we're wearing it for. So if there's a cheaper version, you can use the cheaper version, you know. Won't be quite as efficient, but these Solarian weapons are the best in Wildspace. The new ones could potentially be good, but there's so few situations where there is actually a single target enemy that continues to be single target. And the Void Touch weapons take time to ramp up, and the stacks will drop off if you die. Even if you get just very slightly more damage out of them, the inconsistency is not desirable. You can use the legendary versions. Again, it's the bonus that we're going for. 11% damage increase in Wildspace. Your artifact's going to be whatever the team needs you on. It's probably going to be a debuff artifact. You might be lucky enough to get to run the crystal. It's got a nice little personal damage boost. But just go for ones that cover your stats and the debuff that you need. Managed to get this damage chest piece in. Only useful in Wildspace really, but it does stack with the boots as far as I'm aware. These are the best AP game pants in the game. 25 action points on crit strike is a lot of action points, and crit strike is more consistent than combat advantage damage that you could get from the other pants that do similar things. Plus, these other pants only give you 15 action points, and you know that's nearly double that you're getting from the Dwarven pants. And that does make a big difference. When those proc, you'll really feel it on your action point gain. Again, high item level artifacts with some nice stats. Just balance them out as you need. 7% damage in Wildspace. These boots are the strongest damage boots that we've got, and they don't come with any of the downsides like the rusted iron boots. Obviously only useful in Wildspace. These crit strike boots are actually very, very good out of Wildspace. You can really mix up your build a bit with these. I've got a great non-Wildspace Arcanist build that was really doing some damage in MGR. These enchantments, I would suggest, if you can, always run awareness in your defensive slots. Awareness is the most effective defensive stat you've got when you're fighting a boss, because it's a 1-for-1 damage mitigation against combat advantage damage, and bosses always have combat advantage on you after the changes they made a little while ago. Rage of Flames, standard. Devil's Precision, standard again. Celestial Lightning Flash is given by over 20% stats. It is very much an essential part of the DPS kit these days. And more action points. Always need more action points. Ray of Frost again. That's our go-to at will. And Storm Pillar. It does give a nice little AP boost occasionally. It doesn't happen every time. With the encounters, there's a specific order that they need to be fired off in. So you'd start with your R1 Arcane Conduit, which will give you 20% increased damage on your arcane spells, which in this case would be Entangling Force and Repel. Very, very high damage encounter powers. And then we have Disintegrate in there as well. I usually have them in order of longest cooldown to shortest. Arcane Empowerment, this is the daily that does most of our damage really, or can cause us to do most of our damage. You get a nice little 20% damage boost again, so that's 40% between the two. And you can usually get off 3 rounds of encounters when you pop that. Storm Spell, 120 magnitude, 20% of the time is actually a very significant amount of damage. Then the Arcane Power Field, which is even more damage yet again. There's so many damage stacking abilities on the Arcanist, it's pretty crazy. Arcane Mastery, it's not a huge damage bonus, but it's better than nothing. Spell Twisting is another one of our AP generation things. It's very useful when it's working properly. This again is just more incidental magnitude damage. More ticks the better. I think it might actually stop working once they've reached max chill stacks, but I haven't actually tested that, so not entirely sure. Chaos Magic. This is the Arcanist feat. If that quick action procs, you'll know about it. And the other ones are quite nice as well. Another high chance of dealing 120 magnitude damage. Yeah, man, this thing is absolutely stacked with all of these damaging abilities. And this final feat, I know a lot of people, or it looks like a lot of people, go for a step above mastery, but I'm looking at it and that elemental reinforcement is basically a guaranteed 7% damage increase when it's not being doubled to 14% damage, so I don't see how a step above mastery can possibly provide more damage than elemental reinforcement. If anybody knows, then feel free to put in the comments, but I find I get a lot more damage out of elemental reinforcement. Onto the boons. Usual stuff at the bottom. Would usually put movement speed on, as well as that lingering medicine. It's quite useful. Bloodlust. I'm not sure if they've actually fixed the AP gain on this yet, but it's pretty standard DPS stuff. Life Lessons procs quite a lot. I'm finding it pretty useful. Enhanced Application as well. This is proccing more than I thought it would. and blast advantage as well. That recharge speed is great when it procs off. Revive sickness, you're more than likely going to die in that dungeon. It's so laggy, lots of bugs going on. Companion wise, I've got the Black Death Scorpion here. It's pretty decent damage, and it frees your supports up to run something else. I find the green scale bowman usually does more damage, but utility wise the Scorpion's great. And Shadowkite Witch is also brilliant for situations where there's lots of mobs around, like boss one. Put accuracy in this enhancement. Try to avoid having any of the more damaging, more important, well I say damaging more important, like combat advantage. If you lose 7.5% combat advantage, you're going to notice it. This thing is not up 100% of the time. Losing 7.5% accuracy is much less of an issue than losing 7.5% combat advantage or 7.5% crit sub. So always try to build with the accuracy going in there. We've got 3 damaging comps in, plus the raptor and the golden cat at the bottom. Unfortunately there's no replacement for that golden cat. There's nothing that will go in that utility slot that gives you 7.5% combat advantage. Might be able to stick an alchemist in there or a book imp in there and then rework it a bit and try and find some extra combat advantage. But yeah, having these things locked into certain slots it really hampers builds. Especially considering we've got to run that raptor. This is the Golden Warhorse, which is available from the event store. It's went down quite cheap recently. I think it's only 2 tokens. Some people run the Bixby's hand. I don't actually have that one of the few that I don't. The good thing about the Warhorse is that it's one of the smoothest animations, so you don't get like locked into an animation. The Toad, a lot of people run, is a good shout, and of course there's always good old tunnel vision. Quick action, it's not a huge amount of AP, but it is a nice little head start for when you're trying to do the 2 dailies inside one article. Now you may think that Tactician's Precision is useless on an Arcanist, but that's not true. If you slot one of these in, then you can fire off all 3 of your encounters, pop your daily, and then it will be set down so that they're basically reusable again straight away. You can get an extra little round of encounters in. It makes a big difference. Double stacked Warlord's Motivations, put in some Executioner's Covenant, and of course Enchanter's Hex. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this build useful. And if you did, please throw in a like, maybe a subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.